And if they do, they want like 1.5 or 1.2, 1.5 million pound for him for a player that will walk away for free at the end of the season. I mean, that's financial madness if you're going to go out and spend money on a player you can get for free in 10 months' time. And at the end of the day, we're not talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold here. It's Danny McNamara.
Has been a little development. Beale obviously told you after the game, Ian, that the club were close to bringing in a right back on loan. In fact, let's just see what he had to say now.
I know you've been talking about getting a right back in. Is that sort of that's not going to go Aussie, obviously, but just the depth you talked about last week, is that sort of any closer to happening?
Yeah, it is closer to happening. Like it's been on and off in terms of the key ones that we want. It's probably going to be a loan that we're bringing in. So obviously the Premier League clubs need to have their house in order, and the weekend obviously the Premier League starts, and then I think that opens up one or two loan opportunities. We've highlighted the players that we want, or the specific player, and I think he's quite an exciting player, and when he does arrive he will add competition for Aussie. Brought Aussie off tonight because obviously we can't risk him. And I think Aussie's done well the last couple of games. I think he's come back out of the games with a lot of credit. But if anything happened to Aussie, would be down to the young players. Aaron Drew's had a good pre-season. I'm not sure if he's quite ready right now to compete for the shirt.
Just what for last month, the players talking about the loanee coming in, is that likely to happen before the weekend?
It would have done, but I think it's not now.
Yeah, so we believe the right back he is talking about to be Dujon Sterling of Chelsea. But whether that actually happens or not, obviously remains to be seen. No guarantees, you know how these things go. Obviously, that doesn't always happen. But I mean, Sterling, obviously, you know, I got a tweet the other day saying, "Oh, don't mention Blackpool," but I promise you, this is relevant to the conversation. Obviously, Dujon Sterling was on loan at Blackpool last year, so I saw a bit more of him than I otherwise would. And I thought he had like a steady season. I think the big thing with him is like he had like a bad illness. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but he missed a lot of time, and then he's had like a lot of injury problems as well. Like he's really highly rated as a young player, and then I think last season was almost like him kind of getting back on track. He sort of shared the minutes at right back with our other right back, Jordan Gabriel, so he didn't play like loads and loads of games, but I thought he was steady when he played. I think defensively he's good, but for me there's still like a little bit to work on going forward. I think he's still got to kind of develop that side of the game, which when you think about what Beale asks of his fullbacks, I think that is something that he's going to have to work on. But I think Beale kind of relishes that challenge of bringing a young player in who's not put it all together yet and kind of helping them progress and get along. So if he is someone to come in, I think he does obviously fulfill a massive need because there's no right back competition for Osman Kakai. But if he does come in, I feel like he might kind of share those minutes at right back with Kakai just because of like the injury problems and stuff he has. But I think it would make sense as a signing. Like I said, I just think there's a little bit more to do for him in terms of going forward and attacking the opposition box. I think there's still a way for him to grow there. But yeah, I mean, obviously Mick Beale as well. Ian did that interview kind of last week where he was reiterating the kind of messages we've heard before from the club about the importance of financial fair play and how difficult it is to stay within those rules. And it kind of provoked a bit of a reaction from fans, I suppose. Like I said, it was nothing really new that we've heard, but I guess the new manager coming in and saying that kind of, fans want to see signings, don't they? And him kind of saying that they might do one and then they might have to get some players out to bring more players in. And, to kind of get behind the players that are already at the club, get behind the forwards specifically that are already here, because that might be the ones they've got for the rest of the year. Is there are they right to kind of be a bit concerned by that? Or, do you feel like those comments, it's concern obviously because they kind of need more depth, I suppose. Is that a fair concern, or do you think that he was kind of right with what he said?
I think there's always concern. I mean, Rangers have signed players this summer. It's not like they haven't signed anyone. And I think we're in a situation. I mean, with the Dujon Sterling thing, I will say just sorry to.
Yeah, go on.
We will go. I mean, the issue is why he's not in the building in a minute is that Mick Beale is very keen he doesn't want to be loaning other players to develop players for other clubs.
Yeah, he said that before, didn't he? I think he wants
to
like loan them to buy them.
He wants players to come to QPR and be QPR players.
Yeah.
And if it's a loan with a kind of a clause that we have the option to buy them at the end of the loan, that is the case with Taylor Richards and Tyler Roberts, where they will be
Twister,
where they will be QPR players at the end of the start of next season if all goes to plan. There is a particularly with Brighton, there's a clause in the contract that QPR are kind of almost it's compulsed to buy him. That's part of the agreement that
right?
Have him on loan, you buy him at the end of the loan. So money has been spent and sort of put aside for that. I mean, the whole thing with Danny McNamara at Millwall, there's lots of teeth gnashing about. Millwall won't sell. Millwall are not going to sell at QPR. Simple as that. And if they do, they want like 1.5 or 1.2, 1.5 million pound for him for a player that will walk away for free at the end of the season. I mean, that's financial madness if you're going to go out and spend money on a player you can get for free in 10 months' time. And at the end of the day, we're not talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold here. It's Danny McNamara, a player who plays for Millwall who, he looks okay. But should you be putting yourself in a position where you spend 1.3 million pound on a player or whatever it is, and then you realise that he's Jake Bidwell, and then you're back in a position where you were 4 years ago, and you're pushing the FFP cap, and you've got potential for points being taken away, all that kind of thing. All this has to be weighed up. So
I suppose the thing is like obviously Macaulay Bonne and Linden. I know they're strikers, so it's difficult to compare because strikers are naturally going to be more expensive. But it's, QPR have spent money on players in the last couple of years. I suppose
for a club that's not got no money, they always find someone. They always sign players. So
yeah,
and QPR fans, we're not signing. Well, QPR always sign players. Will we sign? Yes, QPR. That's what QPR do. They sign players.
Throwing back to that Harry Redknapp deadline day, bringing in loads of strikers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to be like the days when money was being thrown around like confetti, but it's QPR always sign players. There'll be someone that will come in, but I admire the fact that Beale was like, well, I don't want to be just developing Aston Villa's youngsters for Aston Villa. I want them to come to QPR and be QPR players that can be QPR assets to sell on in the future.
Yeah, well, that was one of the big things about this change in kind of strategy, I guess, which obviously, like we said, the results were what contributed mostly to Warburton's exit. But that was a part of it as well, wasn't it? This idea that, they're trying to develop players for the future and all that side of it as well. So it kind of makes sense that they're doing that. But yeah, I mean, Dujon Sterling, obviously, I think it would be nice to get someone in permanent, but maybe they can. Like I said, obviously he's keen on doing that. So if they do loan him in with an option to a permanent move, certainly I think given how highly rated he was when he was younger and he's had a couple of setbacks, certainly there is a lot to develop there. And I think if Beale can get him playing regularly, then it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? It's like they're given that they spent money before. I guess people just want to see money spent again on a position that is kind of needed, but you obviously think it's, I guess, because they kind of had a go, didn't they? QPR by their standards under Warburton when they brought in Johansson, Austin, which I think people look back and say, well, was it the right move? They had to do it because of how well they ended the last season. If they didn't do it, everyone would have been like, well, why are we not having a go? Because we've just been one of the best sides in the Championship for the second half of the season. Yeah, and it didn't come off in the end, and now they're in a sticky patch again with financial fair play. But it's not like they're going to definitely go over it. So I think they have to give it a go.
And I think as well, you have to look at it progressionally. I mean, I'm going to say it. Well, Brentford, it took Brentford 4 years of knocking on the door before they actually got into the playoffs. So QPR knocked on the door of the playoffs all last season and fell away due to injuries and etc. So, worrying about what's going to happen in August, or the season's going to be over, there's a long, long way to go.